Hello there, dear friends, and welcome once again to the Relaxed Fantasy Review. Today, we're wrapping up this series in the Player's Handbook talking about the classes that we find within. We started off talking about the combative barbarian. We moved our way all the way through the classes alphabetically, talking about playstyles, powers, and the ups and downs that the Player's Handbook took us through. And we are wrapping up with one of the oldest and most classic classes in D&D, the Wizard. The Wizard is an optimizer's dream and has been considered by many to be the most powerful class in D&D for a long time, like ever since the old days of the game. And in 5th edition, they certainly were no slouches. But the new player's handbook has shifted them around a bit. How has it changed them? How have they been modified? I think that taking a look at it will surprise you. However, before we get into the details, I'd like to let you know Relax Fantasy Review has memberships. For just $1 a month, you can support me here on YouTube and get a couple benefits. First, you get a little badge next to your name in the comments, letting folks know that you're a supporter, but also you get early access to my videos. I upload videos Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, and I upload them a day early for members only. If that interests you, you can click the join button. It's just down there next to the subscribe button. I'd love to see you in the comments with your member badges. And if it doesn't interest you, that's totally fine too. Just being here at all, watching the video, liking, subscribing, the things that don't cost anything, that's the best way to support me. It grows my channel, helps me in the algorithm, and I really appreciate you being here. So thank you for watching my content here on YouTube. So wizards, let's talk about level 1 wizard, arguably the hardest level to be a wizard. For you start off with a d6 hit die, the lowest in the game. Only you and the sorcerer share this, and it makes you the squishiest people around. With a constitution of 14, you'll only have 8 hit points at the beginning of the game. Now, wizards aren't meant to be tanky. They're not meant to be tough. They're meant to be the back line. That is, the concept of the wizard dying easily is a meme, especially at level 1. However, that doesn't make them useless. They still can scale, especially if they invest in their constitution, and if they get the tough origin feat, that helps too. All in all, I say this is 7 out of 10. You're the weakest, but you're not useless. Your saving throw proficiencies are intelligence and wisdom. Now, intelligence makes sense. You're an intelligence-based caster, but it is the most niche of the saving throws. It's very rarely seen. Now, when it is seen, it's very, very powerful, and it's good that you can resist it. But wisdom is definitely the one you're happy to have. It's the most common of the saving throws, and is definitely worthy of a 10 out of 10. I'm going to give the intelligence 7 out of 10. Now, your skills, you do get a list of 7, but most of them are the intelligence-based skills. Arcana, history, religion and nature, the stuff that you can learn from studying. You can choose 2 of these as your skill proficiencies, and I don't think that wizards are intended to be skill-based builds. I give this 7 out of 10. You've got a decent list here. Now, you do have proficiency in simple weapons, which is fine. I mean, a wizard needs his trusty staff. Doesn't hurt to have a dagger by your side at all times. If you really wanted to play into the meme and be the buff wizard who casts spells and then runs out and grabs a big sword, you'd have to figure out a way to get proficiency in swords because you don't have that. But you have a great club if you wanted it. I think that having simple weapon proficiency is just your emergency backup if you can't use spells for some reason. I give it 7 out of 10. And then, of course, wizards don't have any armor proficiencies. No light armor, no leathers, nothing like that. They either are using mage armor or nothing at all. And I don't think that's the worst thing in the world. It's just the fact that it doesn't make sense to me that they can't put on leather armor. I feel like that should be something anyone can do. Like, I don't know. Maybe wizards just don't like it, how it feels on their skin. Maybe they're autistic. I don't know. Anyway, I give the fact that they get no armor at all 5 out of 10. Now, of course, wizards are most famous for their magic, and boy howdy, they have a lot of it. The spellcasting feature of the wizard is the standard full caster feature. They are intelligence-based casters, but they do have some unique things. First of all, when they choose their cantrips, they only get a few of them. However, unlike most casters, in fact, wizards are the only ones who can really do this, other than a specific build of Warlock, you can change your cantrips when you long rest. So you can try out all wizard cantrips. There's no reason to just have to pick an attack and a utility and something else. You can just try whatever you like. And when you long rest, you can modify it and switch it up as you please. That's really nice. The versatility of cantrips cannot be understated, or cannot be overstated rather, and so I think that's amazing. Secondly, you have a spell book rather than spells known and prepared. You actually have to do a modification of the known and prepared thing. When you begin as a wizard, you get a spell book. It has 6 first level spells in it. Every time you level up, you add spells. The class gives you 2, and then when you get your subclasses, you'll get 1 from those as well. Also, if you find spells in other wizard spell books or in spell scrolls on the wizard spell list, you can spend your money and your downtime copying spells into your book, effectively enhancing your repertoire. Wizards can have the biggest spell list in the game, not just in the book, but in their book. On top of that, once you have your spell book, every time you long rest, you can then choose from the book your prepared spells. You can prepare a list of spells. There's a table in the chapter which says how many, and it's a reasonable scaling. But then when you swap them, you can't do what the clerics do, which is look at every single cleric spell and choose all of them on a long rest. You have to choose from your spell book. But the spell book can be added to and continues to be added to as the game goes on. So it's a little complex, but once you get the hang of the fact that you've got the wizard spells, your spell book, and your prepared spells as a tier chart, that's how you think about wizards. In any case, the fact that you can add to your spell book, basically as long as you have enough gold and time, and that you continue to do so from both your subclass and your class, and then you can customize your spells for the day as needed. This is just the best of both worlds. Lots of options to go with, customization as the adventuring days change, especially with your cantrips. In fact, it's that cantrip thing that pushes me to say that wizards have the best version of the spell casting feature. I would put them right next to clerics and druids. In fact, I think that clerics are better than druids because they have a better spell list. Wizards have the biggest spell list, though. They have the most amount of pages in the player's handbook of options and the most versatility in their spell casting. So I'm going to say that wizards are 10 out of 10. Like, their spell casting is their whole thing, and they have more versatility. They have enough versatility that genuinely makes people who can choose from their entire classes list, like clerics, jealous. So yeah, 10 out of 10 for wizard spellcasting. On top of this, you also have Ritual Adept. Now, any class in the game can cast a ritual spell as a ritual. That's a change that we put in the 2024 Player's Handbook. But you have to have the spell prepared. So, a cleric can cast a ritual spell if they have the spell prepared. They just have to spend extra time, and then they don't consume a spell slot. Well, wizards don't even have to have the spell prepared. They just have to have it in their spell book. A wizard can cast any ritual spell in their spell book, meaning that they never have to prepare them, unless it's a spell you might need to be able to cast with a spell slot in an emergency. As long as you're comfortable keeping your rituals, you can just fill your spell book with rituals and never prepare any of them. And you just always will be able to use them. This increases the wizard's versatility in a way that other casters simply can't match. When it comes to planned casting with enough time to prepare, that is where the wizards shine. And I give Ritual Adept 9 out of 10. Like I said, anyone can ritual cast, but wizards do it better than anyone. Finally, you have Arcane Recovery. I didn't mention this earlier, but wizards get their spell slots back on a long rest, which is typical for casters. But Arcane Recovery says that they can regain a number of spell slots equal to half their wizard level rounded up with a short rest instead of a long rest. They can do this once per day, but if you think about that, that means that at level 1, you have 2 first level spell slots. That's it. You cast 2 spells and you're done for the day. Arcane Recovery says, nah, just take a short rest, you get 1 back. Because it's half your wizard level rounded up, so it's half a spell slot rounded up. But then once you get to higher levels, you can actually regain bigger spells with this because the level of spells is accumulative. For example, as a 10th level wizard, you can short rest with Arcane Recovery and get yourself a 5th level spell slot, because half of your level is 5, or a 1st and a 4th, or a 2nd and a 3rd, or 2 seconds and a 1st. You can count them up. It can never exceed a spell slot you can cast, and it can never go above 6th level, so once you're level 20, you're not able to get a 9th level spell slot back with this. But, I digress, it's still a lot of magic you're getting back. If nothing else, by the time you get to level 8, a short rest will give you all your 1st level spell slots back, which most of the time I'm using for shield anyway. You know, it's a defensive thing. But the idea that your short rest will give you a good amount of magic back, that is something that, again, other casters wish they had. One of the reasons the Warlock is such a popular caster and such a powerful one is that they get spell slots back on a short rest. So does the Wizard. They have always had this power, and have always thought that it gives them extra power that is, again, making other casters wish they had it. I give that 10 out of 10. I'm going to use that every day. Anyway, that's level 1. You've got your level 1 wizard. Now let's move to level 2. You get the Scholar feature, and this is a simple feature. You choose one of the intelligence-based skills, so Arcana, History, Religion, Nature, Investigation, or you can choose Medicine if you like. It's a wisdom-based skill, but you can still pick it. And if you are proficient in that skill, you now have expertise in it. Now, I love expertise. I think expertise is one of the strongest features in the game. It's usually restricted to bards and rogues and rangers, but now wizards have it. It's only one. They get one expertise, and it's in an intelligence-based skill most of the time. Probably 9 out of 10 wizards are going to take Arcana, which is a great skill, or Investigation, also a great skill. You could choose Medicine if you really wanted, you know, making it so that you can bring people back. Or, you know, you've got your Nature, your Religion, your History buff, whatever your wizard is good at, you can just make them great at. Expertise is such a powerful feature, and it scales with the game beautifully. I give Scholar 10 out of 10. I think expertise is worth that, even with these skills. Like I said, take Arcana or Investigation. That's going to cover most wizard powers and abilities. And if you really want something else, go for it. There's no wrong pick here. Now we're going to move on to level 5, because that's the next time you get a basic wizard feature. This feature is called Memorize Spell, and it says that when you take a short rest, you can switch one of your prepared leveled spells with another prepared leveled spell in your spell book. So if you, at the beginning of the adventuring day, you finish your long rest, and you choose from your book, you're reading your book, and you're like, all right, I need these ones that I always prepare, and I'm going to take this, 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 and this, and you prepare them, you're done, cool, I have my spells for the day. It is a common trope amongst wizards that the spell that they need is never the one they prepare, and taking a long rest may not be an option. But now, with Memorize Spell, you can just take a short rest, which is going to give you a few spell slots back anyway, and use Memorize Spell to swap one of the ones that you don't need with one that you do. It doesn't work with cantrips, but, you know, any leveled spell, you can just swap it out, as long as you've got it in your book. And that's nice. It takes the versatility. If you can't ritual cast it, you can Memorize Spell it, and grab it during a short rest, making you arguably able to access your entire spell book as long as you have a bit of time. Once again, Ritual Adept adds 10 minutes to a spell's casting. Memorize Spell means that if it's not a ritual spell, you can still access it with an extra hour. I think of this almost like super rituals, where you can cast any spell in your book with an extra hour of time, instead of the extra 10 minutes that rituals take. And in that light, where the spell book now just opens up to you as long as you've got the time for it, I say this is 9 out of 10. I'm going to give it the same ranking I gave Ritual Adept. Now, from this point on, wizards don't get a whole lot. They get subclass features, and their spells scale. That's the point of a wizard, is most of their features are magic-based, where they're getting new spells, new spell slots. We're not going to get an actual wizard feature until level 18. when we get spell mastery. Spell mastery is a very, very powerful feature which says you choose a first level spell and a second level spell from your spell book. They have to have a casting time of an action, and once you choose them, you can cast them at their first and second level form without expending a spell slot. So now you can just fire off magic missiles infinitely at first level, as much as you want. Or you can choose a defensive spell. The problem is you can't choose shield. See, in the old player's handbook, this ability didn't specify that the spell had to take an action. So people were using this to cast shield or silvery barbs or reaction-based defensive spells infinitely. And that's great. That was a very, very strong feature. I still think this is worth 10 out of 10. Getting a first and a second level spell. Second level spells are no slouches. This is, invisibility infinitely. There are lots of second level spells that, really change up the game. It's not Misty Step infinitely, unfortunately, because that's a bonus action, not an action. But in first level spell slots, or first level spells, like I said, you've got Magic Missile, the classic, but you could also choose Mage Armor. That's a good one. Lots of battlefield control, lots of utility spells in there, and having the ability to use it like a cantrip is great. And what makes it even better is that when you take a long rest, you can change these. So every first level spell or second level spell in your book is accessible to you with a long rest as a cantrip, as a free casting. Yeah, that's definitely 10 out of 10. Even at the higher levels of play, your first and second level spells still matter. You can't just be casting 5th level spells and higher all the time. So yeah, I give Spell Mastery 10 out of 10. And then finally at level 20, you get your Capstone Wizard feature, Signature Spells. And this is similar to Spell Mastery, but a little different. You choose 2 third level spells, hello Counterspell, and you can cast them once per short rest for free. And again, you can switch these whenever you take a long rest. So now your third level spells are open to you. And I said counterspell, but of course there's Fireball and Lightning Bolt and Fly, Hypnotic Pattern, Slow, Fear. Just, there's so many good ones. And they're all there, and you get them once per short rest for free. So now your Arcane Recovery short rest empowerment is giving you a bunch of spell slots back, but you don't need third level spell slots as much because now you've got a couple free castings of your favorite ones, which you can change when you long rest. Once again, giving the wizard a level of spell versatility that they just didn't have before. I still think this is 10 out of 10. Overall, the wizard is one of those which leans so heavily into their spell casting that it's hard to overstate. Their abilities all give them spell slots. Ritual Adept and Memorize Spell that you cast spells more accessibly than the ones you've prepared. Your Arcane Recovery, your Spell Mastery, and your Signature Spell just gives you more magic. Free castings, more spell slots, etc. Yes, Scholar does give you expertise, which is a nice little utility buff for sure. But overall, your magic is your thing. Now, obviously, wizards can't have everything. They have the low hit die. They have no armor. They have, no weapons, really, outside simple weapons. Their saving throws aren't perfect. But I think the fact that they have those weaknesses at level 1 is necessary because it reins them in. Having the infinite amount of magic at their disposal that they do, they can't be perfect. That's why they have these weaknesses. And I think wizards are 9 out of 10. I think that they would be 10 out of 10 and broken if they had more features at level 1 that helped them outside of their magic, but then they'd be broken. Then they'd be too strong. This reins them in and says, no, you still have to be a 9 out of 10. Now, I want to finish off this series. This is my last class review, because there's only 12 classes in the Player's Handbook. Those of you who've been watching this whole time might notice that I've given every single class 9 out of 10. All 12 of them I have given 9 out of 10. And there's a reason for that. Wizards of the Coast did this on purpose. they said that some of the classes just didn't have the features necessary to set them apart from the others. There were some classes that simply didn't stand out. The monk and the ranger were a common one that was cited. The druid was an unpopular class. And then there were lots of really popular ones: warlocks, paladins, bards, barbarians. And Wizards of the Coast said, no, no, we need to lower and raise. We need to equalize. We need to balance so that your choice of class isn't about power. Obviously, the optimizers have all found ways to break the game already, and that's fine. That's what optimizers do. I love optimizing. I love talking about the best way to attain powerful damage, to bulwark your way through skill checks. There's lots of options here. But as with everyone else in the game, the baseline of the features you get are balanced. You get a lot of stuff in what you're good at, and a lot of stuff that you aren't good at, and it balances out. Wizards are no different. They get not a whole lot other than their magic, but their magic is so good that it lifts them up and makes them 9 out of 10. And I think that what this series has truly taught us is that there's no wrong class anymore. There are good classes that are good at some things, and there are some classes that are good at other things. Some of them are better at being jacks of all trades. I think fighters really stand out in that way. Rogues do too. I think that others are very, very buildable. Sorcerers and warlocks especially are very buildable. And then there are some that have a good smattering of everything. Clerics are a wonderful example of this, with lots of weapons and armor, a decent amount of tankiness, and magic that gives them good power, but not wizard level good. And then you've got wizards who are just good at one thing, but that one thing carries them through the entire game. I mean, they're like barbarians in that respect, where barbarians don't have magic, and they don't have a whole lot of class features either. They just are really good at hitting stuff and moving fast. And that will get them through the game in a lot of ways. Wizards get a 9 out of 10, just like all other classes in the game. I think that Wizards of the Coast have done an amazing job balancing D&D. From now on, play the character you want to play. Don't let optimizers tell you that there's a wrong class, that there's a wrong spell. There's a few wrong spells, but not many. There's no wrong weapons anymore. They all have special powers with weapon masteries. There's no wrong builds. This is a game that now has been opened up to the point where it doesn't matter what species you play, what your background is, what your class is, you're going to have a good time. Everything's been balanced, and I think that they've done an amazing job. Did they do a perfect job? No. Every class is 9 out of 10. That doesn't make them perfect. That doesn't make them super powered. It doesn't make them broken. It just means that now we have a game where everyone can play what they want, and it's going to work. And I think that that is a beautiful thing. I think that the class review series has shown that no one is going to suffer in the new edition, the new version of D&D. So for 5.24e, I say, thank you, Wizards of the Coast. You have done a great job of balancing out our favorite game. And I look forward to seeing how this game evolves as the years go on. Thank you. This has been the Relaxed Fantasy Review. If you enjoyed the video, please like and subscribe down below. Have a look for the join button down there, and keep your eyes peeled for more reviews coming down the line soon. Have a good one, my friends.